In this example, we're looking at the polar curve r equals 3 plus 6 cosine theta, and we're asked to sketch it by plotting points. So I've taken the time before we get started with the video to actually plot out all of the points for theta between 0 and 2 pi at multiples of pi over 6. So I've taken these theta, these angles, plugged them in for theta up in here, and evaluated the r. Now all we're going to do is plot these points over on our polar coordinate system. Remember that pi over 6 is 30 degrees, so really these are just 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, and so on as we go through. So at angle 0, the radius is 9. So angle 0 is down here along the x-axis. So at angle 0, the radius is 9. So let's just say that this is 9 units right here. And so this is the first point, 0, 9. Pi over 6 is 8.196. So that means that if I were to draw a circle of radius 9, along pi over 6, we're actually a little bit further in. We're not all the way out. We're pretty close to 9, but not quite. So we've come up like a circle, but we're a little bit further down in. So we're right here. At pi over 3, we're 6 units out. So at pi over 3, we're 6 units out. So we're way less than, if this would be 9, we're way down. We're even further in here. 6 units. Pi over 2 is 3 units. So now we're halfway up from where we were over here. That's at pi over 2. 2 pi over 3, we're at 0. So that means 2 pi over 3 is this one, but our radius is 0, so we're actually down in here. So if I were to connect some dots, you'll have to sort of trust me for what's going on in here, but we're going from here to here. So we started here. We go through this point, how are we going to get back to 0? Well, I got to sort of come out and then back down in. So that's really what happens. It goes from here to here by coming into the third quadrant or the second quadrant and then coming back down and touching the curve. All right, what's next? So we were here, 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 here. So now we're at 5 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6 is this angle, and negative 2.196. That means that we're about 2 units this direction, but since it's negative, we've got to go the opposite direction. So now we're actually over here. So rather than 3 units, we're a little bit back, so maybe around here. Next, pi is at negative 3. So if pi is negative 3, angle pi is here, but we're negative 3 units, so we're actually along this positive x-axis at negative 3. Now, 7 pi over 6 is also at negative 2.196, so 7 pi over 6 is here, so that's exactly symmetric to this one. So we're back at that point. 4 pi over 3, the next angle, that's right here, is back to 0. So we're back to 0 again. So how are we going to make that work? What's actually happening, again, you have to trust me a little bit, but what happens with these curves is it comes out, it reaches them, and then it comes back in and touches 0 again. Next, we're at 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 is down here. We have a radius of 3, so that means we're down here at 3 units again. How am I going to go from here to here? Well, again, I'm just going to make the curve and connecting the dots, making it follow a curvy type curve. So that was 3 pi over 2 and 3. Now we're at 5 pi over 3 and 6. 5 pi over 3 and 6 is back down to here. 11 pi over 6 and 9. So, or 11 pi over 6 and 8.196. And finally 2 pi and 9 back to here. How do I connect these dots? Just like that. And this is the shape of the curve that we get.